Right now, you're probably stuck in a loop. One voice in your head says, kill the loan, be free. Another voice whispers, if I don't invest now, I'm falling behind. And the internet? It's yelling both at once. This confusion doesn't mean you're bad with money. It means you're human. Every raise, every bonus, every spare dollar triggers anxiety. Do you attack the loan and feel responsible, or invest and feel smart? The problem is, most advice treats this like a simple math question. It's not. It's emotional. Debt feels heavy. Investing feels risky. And so you freeze doing a little of nothing, telling yourself you'll decide next month. That's the real trap. Not choosing feels safe, but it's silently costing you years of progress. And unless you understand how this decision actually works, you'll keep spinning busy, stressed, and stuck. You usually ask this question only when pressure hits. Maybe you just got a raise. Maybe your loan statement scared you. Or maybe you watch someone online say, if you don't invest now, you're already late. That's when panic kicks in. You don't ask, what's the smartest long-term move? You ask, how do I stop feeling stressed right now? And that's the mistake. Because decisions made under pressure aren't strategic, they're emotional. When fear leads, logic follows badly. That's why people jump between extremes. 1 month aggressively paying debt, the next month throwing money into investments they don't understand. The timing is wrong. The mindset is wrong. And when the question is asked emotionally, the answer almost always costs you money, quietly, over time. Debt creates fear. Investing creates FOMO, and you're stuck in the middle. Debt whispers, you're not free. One mistake and everything collapses. Investing screams, everyone else is getting rich without you. So what do? You half commit to both. You make tiny loan payments that change nothing. You invest small amounts with no real conviction. This emotional tug of war drains energy. You feel responsible but not confident, busy but not progressing. And the worst part? You blame yourself, thinking you lack discipline. You don't. You're just being pulled by two powerful emotions at once, fear and envy, without a rule to decide which one should win. Until you remove emotion from this decision, you'll keep oscillating, never fully winning on either side. Online advice loves simplicity. Always pay off debt first. No, always invest early. Debt is dumb. Cash is trash. None of these people know your interest rate, your income stability, your stress tolerance, your time horizon. They speak in absolutes because absolutes get clicks. But real money decisions don't live in extremes. They live in context. What works for a 22-year-old with student loans doesn't work for a 35-year-old with a mortgage. And what worked 5 years ago might not work today. Oversimplified advice feels comforting, but it removes responsibility from thinking. And when you outsource thinking, you outsource outcomes too. That's why people follow good advice and still stay stuck. They never learn the rule behind the decision. Meet Alex. Alex hates debt. The loan balance feels like a weight on his chest, so every extra dollar goes straight to paying it down. Bonuses, raises, side income, everything attacks the loan. At first, it feels incredible. The balance drops. The anxiety eases. Friends say, you're so disciplined. But quietly, something else is happening. Alex isn't investing. Not really. He tells himself he'll start after the loan is gone. Years pass. Markets move. Compounding starts without him. He feels safe but stuck. No assets growing. No money multiplying. Just progress that feels responsible but doesn't accelerate his future. Alex isn't doing anything wrong. He's just playing defense in a game that rewards offense. Now meet Ben. Same income, same loan. But Ben does something uncomfortable. He invests while still having debt. At first, it feels reckless. Seeing a loan balance while investing triggers doubt. But Ben runs the numbers. His loan is low interest. His investments have time. Months turn into years. Ben's investments start compounding. Dividends reinvest. Growth accelerates quietly. The loan is still there, but it's shrinking relative to his net worth. Ben doesn't feel as calm as Alex early on. But later, the gap is undeniable. Ben's money is working even while he sleeps. He didn't wait for perfect conditions. He let time do the heavy lifting. Fast forward 10 years. Alex is debt-free. That's real. That matters. But he's starting from zero on investing. Time isn't on his side anymore. Ben still had debt for a while, but now he has assets, options, flexibility. His net worth tells a very different story. The difference wasn't intelligence. It wasn't discipline. It was strategy. Alex optimized for emotional relief. Ben optimized for long-term math. This is the moment people miss. The goal isn't to feel good now, it's to win later. And once you understand why these paths diverge, you'll never see debt and investing the same way again. There's a reason paying off debt feels so good. The moment that balance hits zero, your brain exhales. No more statements, no more reminders, no more quiet guilt every time you check your account. That relief is real. And it's powerful. Debt creates mental noise. It sits in the background of your life, draining energy even when nothing is wrong. So when someone tells you, just get rid of it first, your brain says, yes, please, make it stop. But here's the catch. Emotional relief and financial progress aren't the same thing. Zero debt can feel like winning, even if your money isn't growing. You feel lighter, but not richer. And because relief is immediate, it tricks you into thinking it was the smartest move, even when it may have quietly delayed your future. From the time you're young, you're taught one rule: debt is dangerous. Avoid it. Kill it. Be responsible. And for bad debt, that advice is solid. High-interest consumer debt absolutely deserves urgency. But culture doesn't make distinctions. It treats all debt the same: credit cards, student loans, mortgages, lumping them into one scary category. So when you carry any debt, even low-interest debt, it triggers shame. You feel behind. You feel irresponsible. And that emotional pressure pushes you to eliminate debt first, even when the math doesn't support it. This conditioning runs deep. It's why people feel proud being debt-free with no assets and uneasy having assets while carrying manageable debt. One feels morally right. The other is financially powerful. Pay off debt first isn't wrong, it's incomplete. It ignores interest rates. It ignores opportunity cost. It ignores time. Financial decisions don't live in absolutes. They live in trade-offs. Paying off a 3-5% loan feels productive, but if your money could earn more elsewhere over long periods, the cost isn't visible today, it shows up years later. That's why this advice spreads so easily. It feels wise. It reduces anxiety. It gives instant clarity. But real wealth isn't built on comfort. It's built on understanding when emotion should step back and strategy should step in. And once you see what debt actually costs versus what money can earn, this rule finally breaks. Most people only look at one number, the loan interest rate. If my loan is 5%, I should kill it. But that's only half the math. The real question isn't what does my debt cost? It's what does my money miss? When you put every extra dollar into a low-interest loan, that money stops having potential. It doesn't grow. It doesn't compound. It just disappears into a balance that was shrinking anyway. Meanwhile, markets don't pause. Compounding doesn't wait. Time doesn't refund lost years. A 5% loan is visible. A missed 8-10% return is invisible, but far more expensive over time. And because opportunity cost doesn't send monthly statements, most people never feel it until it's too late. Here's the part nobody explains. Inflation quietly eats your debt. If inflation runs at 3-4% and your loan is fixed at 4 or 5%, the real cost of that debt shrinks every year. You're paying tomorrow's loan with cheaper dollars, but your investments, they grow on top of inflation. So while you're aggressively paying down debt that's getting weaker, you're starving the one thing that fights inflation for you. This flips the logic entirely. In inflationary environments, low-interest debt becomes less dangerous, not more. And delaying investing during these years is like choosing to walk while the escalator is running right next to you. You're working harder just to stay in place. People love intensity, big payments, aggressive plans, sacrifice now, freedom later. But wealth doesn't reward intensity. It rewards time. 10 average years of investing beat 2 perfect years every time. Compounding doesn't care how motivated you are, it cares how long your money stays in the game. When you delay investing to clean things up first, you're not being disciplined. You're shortening your timeline. And time is the one resource you can't refinance, delay, or recover. This is why two people with the same income make completely different progress. One starts earlier, the other tries harder later. And one always wins. The F2 rule exists to remove emotion from this decision. F1, with the fixed cost of your loan, that's the interest rate you're paying. Not vibes, not fear, the actual percentage. F2, the future growth of your money, that's what your money can realistically earn over time if invested. Most people only look at F1. Smart people compare F2 to F1. If your money can grow significantly faster than your loan costs and you have time on your side, paying the loan aggressively first may actually make you poorer in the long run. The rule isn't about gambling. It's about letting math, not anxiety, decide. Once you understand this, the confusion disappears. The decision becomes mechanical, calm, rational. The decision isn't binary, it's about the gap. If your loan costs 4% and your long-term investment potential is 9%, that 5% gap compounds for decades. Small gap, small decision. Large gap, massive outcome. The bigger the gap, the more expensive it becomes to delay investing. Every year you wait, that gap works against you. But if the gap flips high-interest debt, unstable income, then paying debt first becomes the smart move. This is why blanket advice fails. The gap changes by person, by time, by economy. The F2 rule adapts. It doesn't judge. It just calculates. Emotion is loud. Math is quiet. Emotion says, I'll feel better debt-free. Math asks, at what cost? The F2 rule gives you permission to stop feeling guilty, to stop copying strangers, to stop reacting. It turns a stressful debate into a clear process. You're no longer choosing between being responsible or smart. You're choosing based on expected outcomes. And once decisions are repeatable, wealth becomes predictable. This is how high earners stop spinning and start compounding. Let's ground this in real life. Imagine you have a 20,000 pounds, $25,000 loan at 5% interest. At the same time, you could invest that extra money into a diversified market portfolio averaging 8-10% long term. Most people see the 5% and panic. Guaranteed loss, they think. But pause. If you invest 500 pounds, $600 a month for 10 years at 9%, that money doesn't just grow, it compounds into something far larger than the interest you avoided by rushing the loan payoff. The loan cost is linear. Investment growth is exponential. This is the asymmetry most people never calculate. Now, stretch the timeline because wealth lives in decades, not months. Over 10 years, investing early can put you tens of thousands ahead even while carrying the loan. Over 15 years, the gap becomes uncomfortable to ignore. Here's the shocker. Two people can pay the same total loan interest, yet one ends up dramatically richer. Why? Because one let time work. The other waited for clean conditions that never mattered as much as they thought. By the time the debt-first person finally starts investing, the compounding curve is already steep for everyone else. And catching up later is brutally hard. This isn't about being perfect. It's about starting earlier. A 3-4% difference doesn't sound exciting today. But over time, it quietly decides who has options and who doesn't. The tragedy is that people work harder than ever, earn more than ever, yet delay the one move that actually multiplies effort. Not because they're lazy, because they were never shown the math. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And once you act on it, the results compound faster than motivation ever could. Let's be honest, not all debt is equal. If your loan is 15%, 20%, 30%, credit cards, payday loans, some personal loans, there is no investing your way out of that. A guaranteed 20% beats a hopeful plus 8% every time. This is where people get trapped. They watch investing content, feel smart, but ignore the bleeding. High interest debt is like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in it. No matter how much you pour in, it keeps leaking. In this case, paying off debt isn't emotional, it's mathematical self-defense. Kill the fire first, then build. Here's the part spreadsheets don't show. Debt creates mental drag. You wake up thinking about it. You hesitate to invest because you're scared. You panic during market drops because you shouldn't even be here yet. That stress has a cost. For many people, clearing debt first unlocks confidence, consistency, and long-term thinking. And consistency beats strategy. If paying off debt makes you sleep better, invest more calmly, and stay in the market longer, that emotional ROI is massive. Money isn't just numbers, it's behavior. This is where the F2 rule actually lives. Not all debt first, not all investing now, but split focus. You attack high-interest debt aggressively while still investing enough to stay in the game. Why? Because quitting investing completely kills momentum, and ignoring debt kills stability. The goal isn't being debt-free fast, it's being financially flexible sooner. That balance is how normal people win, not influencers, not hedge funds, but real lives. Before you ask, should I invest or pay off my loan? Ask this instead. Where is my money leaking energy? Look at your life right now. Not your dreams, not your future income. Today, if debt payments make you anxious, force overtime, or stop you from investing consistently, that's friction. If investing makes you panic every time the market moves, that's friction too. The F2 rule starts by removing the biggest blocker to momentum, not what's smartest on paper, what keeps you stuck emotionally and financially. Fix friction first. Growth comes after. Most people copy strategies from people in a different season of life. A YouTuber with no debt says invest everything. A debt-free millionaire says leverage wisely. But you're here right now, maybe building, maybe surviving, maybe stabilizing. The F2 rule says your plan should fit your season. High interest debt, prioritize safety. Stable income plus low interest debt, lean into investing. Uncertain income, build flexibility first. Wealth isn't about doing the most aggressive thing. It's about doing the right thing at the right time. Winning isn't having the highest return on Twitter. Winning is control. Control over your time, control over your stress, control over your future decisions. If paying off debt gives you control, do it. If investing gives you freedom, do that. If splitting both keeps you consistent, perfect. The F2 rule doesn't give you one answer. It gives you clarity, and clarity beats chasing advice you don't fully understand. The goal was never to be rich fast. The goal was to stop money from controlling your life. If this video gave you clarity instead of confusion, subscribe, because this channel is about freedom, not flexing.